Hello kids, hope you're all doing fine. So today you will be seeing the lesson 15 of your EVS, homes of animals and birds. So animals and birds, they live in a shelter so that they are being protected from the outside environment. And so today you will be seeing the homes of animals and birds, that is where these animals live. Some of them live on land, some they live in water, some they live both in land and water, some they live near the seashore likewise. Okay, so they usually make their house where they find space and also water and food. So these things they take into consideration while they build their own shelter. Okay, so now we'll see about the animals that live on land, right? So these animals that live on land, we call them as terrestrial animals, right? So terrestrial animals are animals that live on land. So the animals that are living in forest, they find that forest or mountains or grasslands, they find their own natural shelters. They are not building a house and all, but they will find their own natural shelters. For example, if you see monkeys or baboons or chimpanzees, all these will be living on a tree. So these type of animals that live on tree, we call them as arboreal animals, right? Arboreal animals. And see the picture, first picture where a chimpanzee is swinging on the tree. Such animals will be having long hands and also long legs. So it will be easy for them to swing from one branch to the other, right? So these animals that live on tree, we call them as arboreal animals. And the animals like lion and bears, they live in dens. So the second and third picture below, you will see the lion sitting there in the den. Even the bear has gone underground to his den. And some animals like rabbits and groundhogs, they burrow into the soil. So they live in the burrows. That means a small hole they dig into the soil. So they will lay their, that is they will look after their young ones, or they will give birth to the young ones there inside the burrows. So the first and second picture, we see the rabbits and groundhogs, that is they are just peeping out from their burrows. Okay, then you have snakes which live in holes, that is under the ground, holes in the underground. So snakes, they live in holes and they build ant hills and live in it. Then snails and tortoise, they will be having a hard shell on their back. They carry actually their house. So when they are if they find some danger, they will just shrink into their shell. Then once they think that the danger is not there, then they come out of their shell and start moving, right? So the shell that they carry, hard shell that they carry on their back, is actually the house of the snails and tortoise. Okay. So these are all some of the terrestrial animals, that is the animals that live on land. Okay. Now we'll see the animals that even animals, if you see, that live on land, even birds are also included. See, if you take birds like owls and bats, they are very much active during night time. Owls and bats, you can't see owl in the morning or bats in the morning. Only in the evening time, when the sun is setting time, you can find the bats all flying. So the bats become active during the night time. So such animals which are active at night, we call it as nocturnal animals. Okay, nocturnal animals. These animals which are active at night, and they will have a better vision also than the other animals. Then mostly in the daytime, these animals, they hide or they'll be sleeping, and then at night time they become active. Okay. Then there are certain animals like bear which goes off to sleep during winter. The whole winter they will sleep without food and water. Then when the summer comes, when the climate change and when the summer comes, they again become active and start doing all their work. like hunting and moving around and all. Okay, so this type of sleeping, this type of winter sleep is called as hibernation. So mostly this is done by animals which is living in the colder region. When it becomes very cold, then these animals, they dig big caves and just go in and sleep, and they won't be active during winter. They will be sleeping. Then when the summer comes or when the climate change, they become active, and then they will be doing their normal duties. Then there is another one, there are certain other animals which become active during winter, and then they sleep through summer. So we say it as summer sleep. That is, some animals like snails, they will be active in summer, and when the climate changes and become winter, then they will rest. Actually, sleep means they will rest. They won't do any activity, but they will be resting. So this summer sleep we call as estivation, right? Hibernation and estivation. Hibernation is winter sleep, that is during winter they sleep. Estivation is summer sleep, that is during summer they sleep, some animals. So hope you have understood hibernation and estivation. Hibernation, winter sleep, mostly bears, they will be inactive or they won't be active during winter, but when the climate change and when it becomes summer, they become active. And estivation, the animals, certain animals like snail, they sleep during the summer, and then they become active in winter. So that is estivation, right? So now we will see about the animals that live in water. So animals that live in water, we call them as aquatic animals, right? So these animals, they can live in the water or near the water, these aquatic animals. For example, fish, then crabs, lobsters, turtles, all these are aquatic animals because they will be going inside the water also. And fishes, it can't come out of the water. If you pull the fish out or put the fish out on the soil, then after some time they will die because they won't get oxygen. Mostly the fish, they breathe through the gills, and they will be taking the oxygen which is present in the water. Okay, so fishes, they breathe through the gills. So if you take the fish out of water, then the fish will die. They won't get oxygen, so they die. And when you see water birds, that is they which just swim in water, their feathers will be waterproof. They don't become wet in the water and then get stick up. So they are waterproof feathers which help the water birds to swim in the water. Then crabs and lobsters, they live in their own shell. Crabs, you have the picture, first picture, it is of crab. So you find them having a shell, and they will be, that body will be protected by this thick shell. Even lobsters also, they have their own shell. But below there is a picture like a spider, that is a hermit crab. This hermit crab, it lives in the discarded shell. The discarded shell means maybe some other animals might have removed their shell, or maybe that animal might have died. So in that shell, this hermit crab lives. So hermit crab, they live in discarded shells. So this is about aquatic animals, that is the animals that live in water. So next we will see the animals that live both in land and water. Some part of their life they will be in water, some part they will be on land. It is not fully in land or fully in water. So such animals, we call them as amphibians. Okay, such animals that live both on land and in water, we call it as amphibians. For example, frogs, toads, then newts. Here in the picture you will be seeing. So these animals that live both in land and water. So this amphibians, and you also have reptiles. Those animals also live both in land and water, that we will see next. So this one is amphibian. Amphibian, they have a very skin without scales. They don't have scales, but they have a moist skin. Okay, then they use their lungs to breathe. For fish, they had gills, but this frog, they have lungs to breathe on land, and they use their moist skin in water. So exchange of oxygen takes place through the moist skin in water, but when they are out, then they breathe through their lungs. Okay. Now coming to reptiles, these animals also, they live both in land and water. You can find crocodiles inside the water and also outside, but sometimes you will see only their nose out of the water. That is for breathing purpose. They just put their nose out, so they breathe through the nostrils. Then their skin is covered with scales, whereas for amphibians they have smooth skin. The reptiles, they have scales. Then these reptiles, they lay eggs near the seashore or in a hole on the land. So where there is land near the seashore, they don't go far off from the seashore, but very much close to the seashore. They dig a hole and they lay the egg and then cover it with the sand, right? So these are reptiles. The animals like alligators, crocodiles, tortoise and all, these are reptiles, and they have scales in their body, and then they lay eggs near the seashore or maybe in a hole on the land. Okay, so these are animals that live both on land and also inside the water. So it can be reptiles and also amphibians, right? Okay, with this we are ending today's session. Then the rest I will continue in the next section. So stay safe and also study a bit and also enjoy, right? Okay, bye.